What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Right now, I guess we're all getting ready to celebrate July 4th. Hopefully you'll get some time off from work, some time to spend with your family, maybe a little extra time to get out on the water. Whatever you do, be safe, and it's going to be hot, really hot. So stay hydrated if you're outside a lot, and just enjoy this time off. A lot of us get extra days off during the 4th, so it's nice to be able to spend that time with family or spend that time on the water, or maybe both. Do both at the same time on the water with your family. So I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel that has done so. Thank y'all guys for all the likes and for all the comments. Appreciate all that. Taking the time each day or each week when a new video comes out to watch it and give me feedback on it. I really appreciate that. For any of you that are still watching and haven't subscribed, I would ask that you consider subscribing to the channel. And also, if you've got friends or buddies that fish that think there may be some stuff I cover or go over that may help them and they might find interesting or entertaining as far as their fishing goes, if you would share the channel with them as well. Today, I'm going to do my baits for the month of July, but this is going to strictly be for river fishing. I've had a few people reach out in the comments and ask me if I would do some videos that focused more on fishing the rivers and not as much the lakes. So I live in eastern North Carolina, so a lot of the rivers I fish are have really good fishing. The Chowan, Roanoke, the Tar River, the Neuse River, and there's others too. I mean, I just saw where like a 30-pound bag was caught on the Paquimins, and I haven't fished the Paquimins in years, but it sounds like if that's where those fish were caught, if they didn't run out of that river into another, but it sounds like the Paquimins is kind of coming back too. So many good rivers in this part of the, this part of North Carolina, and even in Virginia, there's the James and the Chick. So just a lot of good river systems to fish in Virginia and North Carolina. So I'm going to show you for the month of July, the baits and the colors I would throw, and where my thinking is as far as how I choose what I'm going to do and how I'm going to go about it. We're going to start off with topwater. And just about anyone that fishes any kind of river system, one of the first topwaters you're going to reach for is a frog. I've got different ones I like to throw. As far as colors go, I'm pretty sure I'm like everyone else. I'll throw the blacks and browns on overcast days, and I'll tend to stick with the white and green and on your sunny days. Pads, grass, any kind of vegetation, frog's hard to beat, especially when you're in that thick stuff. One thing to remember when you're fishing a river, I feel like, is, and when you're fishing in the summer, period, you want to look for thick cover that'll provide shade, or shade lines that, just fishing the bank side, the shady side of the bank. But you definitely want to look for thick cover that are all for shade. And you want to look for current. Those two things are pretty daggone important, especially as water gets hotter. The fish will, they do become more lethargic, but they can still be caught, and you just gotta hit different stuff and hit different cover and keep a bait in your hand that you got confidence in. That's the biggest thing. The frogs, this is a real small frog I like to throw. This is one of those frogs that I told you about that I order off Amazon. I'll usually start off with a smaller frog, and if that isn't working, I'll work my way up. But this is a Booyah, and this color is called Aqua Frog. This is a Guggen frog, just a black frog. And this is one other one I like to throw, and this is actually, it's called the Pad Perch. It's made by Strike King. That's a good bait around pads and grass also. So frog is definitely a good choice. As far as top water goes, my main, after the frog, my second choice is going to be a buzzbait. I mentioned the last video I made at Kerr. I like to throw the Booger Man buzzbait. Some people say they can't find that like they used to, but I know Tackle Warehouse sells it, and I think even Midway USA may still sell it. But I like the knocking style buzzbait. Some people like the squeaker, some people like the clacker. I like the kind that clacks up against the head. Usually 3/8 ounce is what I'll throw, sometimes 1/4 ounce. I don't really throw 1/2 ounce that much because I'm not as accurate casting with 1/2 ounce as I am with 3/8. So that's why I stick to a little bit lighter size buzzbait. I've been, as far as trailers, not trailers, but the body, I don't tend to keep the skirt on the frog, on the buzzbait as much as I used to. You know, everyone just took it right in the package with the skirt on it. Then everybody started throwing the toads. Well, this particular body right here, this piece of plastic, and I talked about this last video. It was called the Yodo worm, and you can order them off Carl's Bait and Tackle. I know sometimes when I do these videos, I don't give you guys enough detail, and I believe it or not, I am working on trying to get better at that. But the bait company is called Catch Co, but you can order them off of Carl's Bait and Tackle. And this is called the Yodo worm. And I've got it in 3 or 4 different colors, and I'll just change whichever color on the buzzbait. I got, your black and blue. I got like a perch color, bluegill color, and this is the shad color like I was using at Kerr. And it's got a real good shad profile, baitfish profile to it. So when it's coming across the water, I'm sure it's just got a good profile for it. And also, one other thing to consider on your buzzbait is in the rivers, tannic water, sometimes muddy, but by now even the rivers have gotten to the point that their usual tea color or tannic color, whichever you want to call it, I like to use a gold blade on my buzzbait. And if I throw a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, something comes up and tells me to throw one of those, I'm going to use a gold blade as well. It's just something I think the fish can see better, and I just think it's something that it just, for some reason or another, it just gets me more bites in the river is a gold colored blade, whether it be on a buzzbait, chatterbait, or spinnerbait. Next thing I'm going to talk about is crankbait. You guys know I love to throw a crankbait. Probably my favorite way to fish. I'm going to just show you some of the baits that I pick up and I throw a lot during the month of July when I'm river fishing. One of the first ones I always reach for, and some of these don't have hooks because I'm in the process of changing some hooks out. This is a 6 cents bait. It's called the Curve Finesse. Only dives about 1 to 3 foot. This one does have a rattle in it. A lot of times I go silent with my crankbaits. I've talked about that. But sometimes in the river, I usually have a rattling bait or a thumping bait tied on and a silent bait, just to see which one they may prefer. Sometimes with the tannic water and the dirtier water, I think the rattle may be of help. So this is the 6 cents Curve Finesse. It dives 1 to 3 foot. You can see it's got a very small lip on the front of it. Crazy action on this bait. And this is just a bluegill pattern. 6 cents has some really good colors with their crankbaits. They seem to hold up pretty well because I do have quite a few of their baits now, and they do seem to hold up pretty good. Got good hooks on them too, but I do always change the front hook anyway. But it's a bluegill pattern. This is just a chartreuse with a little blue and copper on the top. chartreuse and orange, red, gold. They're colors that you're going to see a lot with these crankbaits I throw, just because it gives the bait more visibility to the fish in the water. This is just your Bandit 200. Who knows how many fish this thing's caught over the years. It's a good little river bait. Something else about crankbaits in the river is I tend to keep them small in size, bait size, just because a lot of the bait is smaller in a river. That's not always the case, but the majority of the time that is the case. So I usually keep my bait choices smaller. Just 2 square bills. This is a really, really good square bill. I've talked about this bait a couple of times. It's gold shad, and it's a Bass Pro Shop square bill, no rattle in it. They love that color. Every time I go to Bass Pro, everyone I go by, when I stop in, I look to see if I can find any of these, and I buy them because they don't make the color anymore. So, and this is just a chartreuse black bat. It's also a Bass Pro square bill. This square bills catch fish. Square bills are, you know, it's not a bait where I think any one brand fishes the other. I've tried Strike King, I've tried Bass Pro, I've tried several different brands of square bills, and it's all a matter of colors to me and rattling or non-rattling. Now some people make like a thumping, one knocker they call it. I've got several of those too. But I've had just as much luck with the Bass Pro Shops models as I have any. This is another bait that sometimes can be hard to find, but a lot of tackle shops, stores still carry it. This is the Bomber, and I always forget the name of it. The Square A, which is, it's got a profile and the shape of a lot of the little balsa wood square bills. This also has a little knock in it. It's a good little bait, and it's a real inexpensive bait. You can usually find these for $3 or $4. And it catches fish, got good action. It rises really fast when you stop. If you're doing a stop and go retrieve, this thing comes up really quick. And when you're fishing around heavy cover sometimes, gnarly stuff, that's kind of a good deal. As soon as you bump it and you stop, it rises above the cover and you can work it through a little bit better. But this is called the Bomber Square A. Two other baits you can't go wrong with when you're fishing the river. And I probably crank in the river a little deeper than some guys do. I've had some success fishing 6 to 9 foot of water with a crank. So I will throw a DT6. Again, changing the hook, so it's missing its front hook. Caribbean shad, and this is a DT4, old school DT4. Caught a lot of fish in the river with this as well. One of the best deep diving, or I shouldn't say deep, I'd say mid-depth diving crankbaits I found for river fishing. You know, when you're fishing rivers, you got all of this cover that has accumulated on the bottom over the years. Laydowns and brush and busted up stumps that have broken off and stuff that's floated down the river, and you get like little underwater log jams and different things. And sometimes it is hard to fish 8, 9 foot of water because you stay hung up a lot when you try to crank. Just through process of elimination and trying different things out and losing some baits along the way. But you can get a lot of stuff back if you keep a plug knocker. Don't forget about that plug knocker. That comes in handy in the rivers too. This is a 6 cents Curve 55, it's called. It dives between 6 to 9 foot of water, depending on what pound line you use, and I'm pretty much cranking with 12-pound line. Berkeley big game, it holds up really well. I've had success cranking in the rivers with this bait. In fact, these are 2 new ones that I got not too long ago. This is called, this is actually a crawl color, crackle crawl they call it, but to me it's got kind of almost like a bluegill look about it. Blue on top, blue around the eyes, orange belly. And this is a natural crawl color. Brown on top, It's just a good color. You can see in tannic water, this would be a good color bait. And these two baits, these two colors, have been the best two colors for me. And again, this is called the 6 Sense Curve 55. The last three baits I'm going to talk about are ones you've seen on my videos. I had a real good day on the Roanoke River last December cranking with this. This is the Black Label Balsa Bacon is the name of the bait, and this is the Candy Dolphin color. I've had good luck at several places with this color. It is kind of a flat side, but it's a thicker bait. It's not real thin, so it does have a little kick to it when you're retrieving it. That's about a 3 to 5 foot diving bait. This is Direct Junior. This is just a shad color with the little chartreuse and orange on the throat. That's a good river bait. And this little thing right here, this is like a kamikaze. This is the Rumble. It has that penny lip on it. This thing, man, this thing here is one of those baits that you can throw it in the thickest, gnarliest wood cover you can find. And this thing, it hunts, it searches, and it comes through it. It's a really, really good little river bait. It's real small, but it's got enough weight to it where it's pretty easy to cast. Any of those baits are good choices for when you're throwing, when you're cranking in the river. And there's always new stuff coming out. Several people have mentioned to me about the Strike King Hybrid Hunter and the Hybrid Hunter Junior. I have just started getting some of those and haven't really fished with them a lot yet. 6 Sense has a bait that's similar to that called the Swank that I've been throwing some as well. I haven't really put enough time in with them yet to really, give you my opinion of them, but a lot of people catch fish with them. So as soon as I get more time in with those, I'll let you know what I think of those. Lastly is plastics. Now, in the river, I mainly got 4 rigs that I'll throw. The Texas rig, the free rig, which I've been, putting a lot of time in with so far this year, my slider worm rig, and the Ozark rig. Those 4 rigs are always going to be tied on. As far as worm colors, as weights, before I get the color, let me tell you about weight. Most of the time in the river, I'm throwing anywhere from, usually it's 1/8 ounce or 3/16 ounce. Occasionally I may go a little heavier, but most of the time that's just the weight that I stick to. I keep it pretty basic, and I feel like I'm able to do pretty much what I need to with those. Colors. This is my blue shad that I've talked about with silver flake. That's Green Pumpkin Magic. That's your standard June bug. And this is just a small finesse worm. Slider head, I'm usually throwing a trick worm or a little finesse worm of one of those 4 colors. And that's pretty much the colors I use for all my plastics fishing in the river. I've had good success with all of these. And if the trick worm, for some reason the bite's super tough, I will go to the little June bug or Green Pumpkin Magic finesse worm. These are always on my slider head, always. The free rig, the one style bait I really like throwing on the free rig that I've had the most success with, without a doubt, has been the little crawl creature baits. This is the little scoon bug. This thing in any river is like candy. Any river I fished it in, they just eat this thing. This is a black and blue one. This is another bait by Bitter's Baits. This is called the Jitter Crawl. I've had a lot of good luck with this as well. This is the blue shad with silver flake again. And this is just a June bug, Strike King, Rage Crawl. I'm sorry, Rage Bug. I've had luck with all 3 of these in the river. This time of year, these go down through cover well, they come out well, and on that free rig, I've had a lot of success with them. So these are the 3 colors and the 3 baits that I throw on my free rig when I'm river fishing. And I usually start with this, always, the spoon bug. Getting to summer, I finally start throwing some worms, ribbon tail worms. They're always either on a Texas rig or that Ozark rig. And I do throw red shad into the mix with my ribbon tail worms. Green pumpkin magic, blue shad, red shad, and this is June bug. Usually between a 6 to 7 inch, and occasionally if I've got a limit, if I'm fishing a derby or if I'm just out fishing and I've caught them really good on a 6 or 7.5 inch ribbon tail worm, I will go up to like an old monster and just see if I can get a bigger bite with it. The last piece of plastic, the last worm that I really throw a lot of in the summertime, month of July and in the summer, is the speed worm, is what I call it. This is the Bitters Vibe worm, he calls it. Again, the blue shad with silver flake. This has turned into my favorite plastic color. Doesn't matter where I fish. Even at Kerr and Gaston, they eat this color. And I do real good with it in the rivers. I have not done as much river fishing this year because the tournaments I was fishing, a lot of them were back at Kerr, Gaston, and Falls. So I haven't had a chance to visit the rivers very much, but the next 2 to 3 months, that's going to change. So I'm going to be putting these colors and these baits to work a lot more often. That's pretty much my choices and what I look to throw in the month of July and when I'm river fishing. This is the stuff I'm going to have tied on and the stuff I'm going to be throwing. Are there always exceptions to the rule? Yeah, there are. I mean, there's going to be, there may be a crazy out of the ordinary bite come up with something where you might get on with a chatterbait or a spinnerbait even, or, but day in and day out, these are the baits I'm going to lean towards and the baits I'm going to throw. River fishing is different for sure. It tends to be a little bit more shallower fishing, not always, but most of the time. Current and shade and vegetation are important, and they're important in any kind of bass fishing in the summer, but in the river they come into play more, especially if you're on a tidal river or whatever may drive the current in that river system. It's important to look for those things: eddies, corners, little points, little areas in the vegetation that cut down on the current, different things. You get a better idea of where you need to put your bait and where you need to make your cast in a river by watching the current and the shade and the type of cover you're fishing. And it's, river fishing's fun. It's a lot of fun. And you can catch a lot of fish in the river in the summer when a lot of times those lakes get really tough. So I hope this helps you guys, helps someone catch some more fish. And just remember, when you're out there this time of the year, stay hydrated. If you're fishing derbies, take care of your fish, G-juice and ice, and just keep yourself hydrated, because man, it's hot. So again, I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and if you would, tell your friends, your buddies that fish about the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, I would ask once more that you subscribe to the channel. And I'll be back in a few days with another video. And you guys have a safe and happy 4th of July. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, man.